Greetings and good Monday morning, the 6th of June, 2022. No preamble today, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump right into it. Stace, you responded to some of my previous videos that are probably 3 weeks old, so without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get into that. So hopefully this works. So from my video, almost done with Smallville and more talk about Alice and Mac, Stace, you responded with, would like to hear your thoughts on Fred Savage's current behavior and scandal. Okay. Um, so there's a talk show in the morning that my son and I will listen to as I take him to the bus stop, and then after he gets on the bus, I'll listen to it on the way to work, and that's about it. They're on from 6 in the morning till 10 o'clock in the morning, and I only listen to them for maybe 30 minutes tops. And they were talking about the whole Fred Savage incident. So I did a quick search on it, and um, there's really not much to say. I don't know how much research you've done on it, Stace, other than to say that I know when I was a young kid, I was a bit of a jackass. I didn't see it back then. I see it now. If I go back and I go through my head and I think back to some of the things I did, how I acted, the way that I was at the time, I could not see what I was doing. I could not see what kind of a ignorant little prick I was. So, not that I'm defending his actions, I'm just offering it up as plausible possibility. Does that make any sense? That perhaps not only that, but back in the day, Fred Savage, I mean, he did movies and then he had a television show, The Wonder Years. I mean, my God, I grew up watching The Wonder Years, Kevin and Winnie. Um, you got to imagine that that's got to do something to your ego. Only, to for him to suffer a crash. Now, I don't know if he's done a lot of work behind the camera, producing, editing, directing. I don't know. I know he had that short-lived show, The Grinder or something with Rob Lowe. Um, I watched a little bit of it. I'm not really sure why, and it was okay. Um, as far as the allegations go, I guess the short version is this: I feel as though we live in an era where we've made a big deal out of some legitimate victims, and then it was quickly discovered that there's currency, there's a form of social currency in being a victim. So, and I've made this video, and perhaps it didn't go over very well, perhaps people misunderstood. Um, I feel like what happens is every idea starts out with some purity. There's a pure form, there's a pure concept, a pure idea. If it does in fact become popular, the idea gets polluted. So with Fred Savage, I don't know that there's a history of bad behavior. If there's this, long documented, substantiated legacy of just really, really bad behavior and conduct, or if this is just one of those where in today's modern society, people are hypersensitive to everything. They're so quick to be offended by everything, and they're so quick to try to cash in on their ability to be a victim. Um, and I'm not trying to take the easy way out. I'm just saying that these are plausible. These are plausible theories in my mind. Um, and if at the risk of sounding nonchalant, no disrespect to Fred Savage, I really don't care. The only reason I made such a fuss out of Joss Whedon is because huge fan of Angel, huge fan of Firefly. I even liked Buffy. I liked Dollhouse. So I liked his content that he created, and I was basically getting involved in the conversation to say, well, is the overall goal to cancel Joss Whedon? And then conversely with Allison Mack, you know, that's just wow. That whole thing with Allison Mack. Hopefully that answers your question. Um, I don't know that Fred Savage is big enough to make a wave. I don't know that he's a big enough celebrity where this is going to be a big deal, and I just don't know that there's a pattern of misconduct that's going to blow this thing wide open. I think there might have been a little bit of something there, and the person making the allegations is trying to cash in on a trend. I could be wrong, but yes, for my opinion. So, but wait, there's more. What else did you? So in the video I made, the Winchester's prequel and my thoughts, you said I think Jensen is narrating, and it's kind of in a Chuck kind of way. Um, yeah, I guess we'll wait to see about that. I, I'm, my wife and I are gonna probably watch it with an open mind, but I think at least for me, I won't speak for anybody else to include my wife. I think I'm going to be a little apprehensive about it. I understand they can't use Matt Cohen and oh god, they can't use the original young John and young Mary. They need younger actors. I'm very interested to see how they're going to reset everything because, according to the supernatural lore, John knew nothing about hunting, and Mary had given up the lifestyle for John. And I'm also curious to see how long they stretch it out based on the timeline because it's 1972 and Mary doesn't die until 1983. So at best, you've maybe got 10, 11 seasons, which I think 10 seasons is good. I think if you can get 10 seasons out of it, that's good. Um, as far as Jared and Jensen's involvement, I'd be very curious to see how that goes. And Stace, I don't know if you can find it. I've had a tremendous difficulty finding it. I once saw a clip, and I'm almost positive it was a panel at one of the supernatural conventions where Jensen was solo because Jared was having his legal troubles, and Jensen was talking about looking forward to ending the grind that is going back and forth, because he lives in Austin, headquarters is in Los Angeles, production is in Vancouver. So if you can find that video, I'd really appreciate it. But I don't know. I'm what's the word I'm looking for? I'm trying to reserve judgment and be as open minded as possible, but we'll just have to wait and see because I just don't know if you can tell a supernatural story without what's the word I'm looking. I was really looking forward to Wayward Sisters. All right, I thought there was a great opportunity to continue with Jody Mills and Donna. Um, I forget the character's last name. Brianna Buckmaster's character, and the girls that Jody had basically adopted. I thought that was a great opportunity because it's all the characters we knew, and it allowed the opportunity for like Castiel, Jack, Sam, and Dean to make cameos. But we'll see. All right. Last but not least, let me find it here. Uh, Responding to my video, reading and responding to comments and talking about the CW's cancellations. Stace, you said, I think that a lot of those canceled shows will be moved over to HBO Max. I could see Netflix picking up some of the others. Stargirl is mainly on HBO Max. So believe it or not, Stace, I had actually responded to this beforehand, but then I didn't get a chance to publish it. My wife had informed me that so DC at one point in time had its own streaming service. I don't know the details, but basically everything from DC has since then migrated over to HBO Max. So either they merged or HBO purchased that DC streaming service. So now HBO basically owns that universe. Here's what I'll say on that. I don't know from the business perspective. So Greg Berlanti created this whole thing starting with Arrow. So there's been a lot of joke and or talking that it's the Arrow slash Berlanti verse because from Arrow spawned Flash, spawned Legends of Tomorrow, spawned Black Lightning, Batwoman. I hope I'm not missing anything. So I'm not really sure if because those were Berlanti slash CW productions, if those will migrate over, if Berlanti will migrate over, or if Berlanti is what's the word I'm looking under contract with the CW. I'm not really sure. Uh, Truth be told, I didn't watch Batwoman because I think they were trying to push a socio-political agenda way too hard versus the storytelling from the comics. Um, I did watch Legends of Tomorrow, but I got to admit the last couple of seasons it's kind of gotten corny. Like it started out really good and then it just sort of became real cheesy. The Flash, I don't know. I feel as though the storytelling on the Flash is even starting to wane a little bit. It doesn't have the same panache as the original 3 seasons, maybe even four seasons did. Uh, I never watched Black Lightning. Uh, Truthfully, I don't even know what time it's on. Um, and then that's really about it. Uh, just I guess you could say managing time, managing interest levels. Uh, I don't know, and I wonder if it was one of those things too, where like Joss Whedon got spread out between Buffy, Angel, Firefly, etc. I wonder if Greg Berlanti was getting too far spread out with so many different stories. I don't know, but we'll see. That's an interesting thought that you pose. Um, I think the vast majority of those properties, with the exception of Legends of Tomorrow, I wasn't altogether that interested in. We'll see. Uh, yeah, I guess we'll see. I can't promise that I'll watch them, but if nothing else, Stace, I at least want to say thank you because we can always talk about socio-politically relevant topics, divisive topics, share our thoughts and opinions. But I wanted to try something new this year, and my God, it's already June. And I really wanted to try to stick to more nerdier topics. So, Stace, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to throw a bone. I want to see if you're going to pick this one up. My wife and I just recently started watching The Expanse, and I'm enjoying it. I'm digging it, but it's just my humble opinion. I get strong hints of Firefly Serenity with the whole, corrupt government, overreaching government, uh, and the two different factions, like Mars and Earth, and then the people caught in between. Um, and I also get, oh, and there's something else that I don't want to give away because I don't know if you've seen it yet. But there's something else that reminds me of Serenity. specifically. And then I also get a lot of hints of Star Wars. You know, the so you got Palpatine. Well, Palpatine's been replaced by somebody else. There's just a lot of similarities. And so I don't know if the author of the book series drew inspiration from them. I don't know how old the books are. I got to go back and research that, unless you already know. But if you've seen it, or if you're watching it, or not interested, or whatever the case may be, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, and just your thoughts in general as to some of the stuff that I've said, because I really appreciate nerding out about this kind of stuff, even if we get like super meta. And more importantly, I really enjoy distracting ourselves from the mundane of all that socio-political nonsense. So, Stace, thank you for getting involved. Thank you for responding. And anybody else, please, by all means, get involved in the conversation. Let's nerd out together. Let's get meta. All right. Let's distract ourselves from everything else. All right. As always, I don't care if you like, I don't care if you dislike, I don't care if you subscribe. I just care that you get involved in the conversation, because if you do, you're awesome.